Hi everybody, this is Stephanie Kraft. In this video, I want to talk about souls. People don't have quite a deep understanding about what souls are, and I want to explain things in a deeper way. I'm not saying that I know everything about souls, because I surely don't, and I know that I don't. However, through the course of my working at the level of learning about souls for many years by doing hypnotherapy with people and healing sessions with people, I have gathered a lot of information about the nature of souls. And so I want to share some of those concepts and ideas with you to help expand your awareness and conception of what souls are and how souls can incarnate. So, the way that I see it, a soul, is that it's an energy form, let's say, when it's not incarnated, or well, at all times. So when we're talking about in the spiritual realm, a soul would be formed as energy, color, light, and it would have a specific vibration or resonance, the ability for other souls to identify it. So it is not a human form, it's an energy form, energy like a cloud or smoke or a sphere. It's probably very changeable. Well, I know that it is because of different experiences, which I can explain some of them throughout the video. But so it that's how we can conceptualize it. It's like a light being. And when souls incarnate into a human body, we could have one soul coming into one body, and that would stay for the life of that person. But we can also have more than one soul in one body. This happens when a person has a very powerful and impactful life on humanity. The people who are famous and well known throughout history, who have had a great impact, more likely than not have multiple souls residing within that one body. They make of a more dynamic life experience, a richer and, like I said, more impactful, more powerful, stronger influence. And a life like that requires more soul energy. And this is something that most people don't know about, that within a person's body, within that incarnation, they can be embodying more than one soul. So it's a combination of beings in that person. I actually know a few of my lifetimes, well, two that I know of, that were very powerful people on the planet. And I was one soul in the body, along with a couple of others, two others, to live out that lifetime. The other thing is that there's so many things. One, the other day, somebody asked me a question, and it made me realize that there's a very linear and finite idea of souls. So let me explain. This person asked me if I thought that my father was reincarnated. My father died 20 years ago. And I was telling her that I communicate with my Father, like he comes into my dreams or he comes into my life in a variety of ways, and I can really communicate with him anytime I want if I call upon him. And she was like, well, do you think he's reincarnated? And I was like, oh, I don't know. Haven't really thought too much about it. But her understanding was that if he had reincarnated, I would not still be able to communicate with him because his soul would then already be in another body. Well, that shocked me because it's very a limited idea of what a soul is. That is not how souls operate. Once you have had an incarnation and you cross over to the other side because that your life has ended here when you die, that soul essence, that spirit, that personality of who you were in that life remains in the astral or the spiritual realms for eternity. It can never go away. So even if a portion of my Father's soul is in another body now, it doesn't take away the spirit or the essence of the part of my soul, my Father's soul, that was him in the life as my Father. And so what I mean by that is that I can communicate with him, or he can visit me in a multitude of ways forever, as long as I live, even if part of his soul is incarnated right now. Because a soul is like, picture a bowl of sugar, and you take a spoon of the sugar and you put it in a body that is that if the sugar in the bowl is a soul energy, a portion of that can be put into a body for an incarnation. But there's always a remainder of soul energy, of soul that lives eternally in the spirit world. No matter how many incarnations you are having at the same time on Earth and on other planets or in other realms of existence, there's always a portion of your soul remaining spiritually, because you exist spiritually. You can have multiple incarnations, and you are having them from your soul all at the same time. That's another sort of topic of time. But time, from the perspective of the spirit, is all now, which means that all of your lives are happening in the now, even though we have linear time here. I don't want to get too deep into that concept. It's something that can stretch a mind, and it can take a while to expand into that understanding. So the other thing that can happen with souls is that you can have overlapping lives. This means that I'm aware of, interestingly enough, I'm aware of one of my incarnations within one of these powerful people where there were 3 souls embodied in the one body, and my soul was one of them. This person passed away several years ago, but I'm 48 right now, and I was born in 1971. This person was an adult at that time and had already been living and continued to live until a few years ago. This means that my soul is in my body now and was in that body. That means that lifetimes are overlapping in time. This is common. We just don't realize it. until we find out more and more and learn about it. The other thing that can happen during a life is that more of your own soul energy can come into your body. This can seem like a walk-in experience, or, which I will explain, or it can be more subtle. It can be imperceptible, but you have shifted and changed a little bit when this happens. And I'll explain a walk-in. There's such a thing that happens, for example, when someone is so depressed and done with life that they want to commit suicide. But the agreement for that soul is not to commit suicide. It is to continue to live this life. There's a purpose for that life. But if the person is going to commit suicide, there's a spiritual intervention that happens. And these agreements are made on the spiritual planes. And the agreement is with another soul. The soul that's in the body that wants to leave makes an agreement with another soul to take over that body so that the soul that's embodied now can leave and go home because they're too tired and they've had it and they can't go on. The other soul agrees to fulfill the rest of that life, and the soul leaves the body and the new soul comes in. Of course, the new soul comes in before the other soul leaves, because to keep the person alive, of course. So the new soul comes in, the other soul leaves and gets to go home. This is called a walk-in. There are many people who have had this experience. When this happens, the person is aware. The soul that has walked in, absolutely knows that they are starting a new life already in an established person's life. They are aware that it's new and that things are different and that their tastes have changed and their ideas have changed and their personality and viewpoints, and there's a merging and there's an integration period. So there's still knowing coming through the first soul, the previous soul. There's a time of integration where information is exchanged. It can be more sudden and seamless, or it can be an integration period. It's a variety of ways that make it easier for this new integration of the new soul in the body. So that's a soul exchange walk-in experience. There's another type of walk-in experience, which I personally have experienced, which is a great a big portion of your own soul energy, we could call it your higher self, steps in or walks into the body. My higher self embodied within my body in 2006. So just a side note, a lot of times when people are having sessions with me, they're asking me where I'm getting this information, if it's coming from my higher self or God or whatever. But because my higher self is embodied in my body, it's coming from me directly, but it is at the level of the higher self. I hope that makes sense. Not all of the information coming through, but I'm very aware of it and it is happening. So in my case, for example, or anybody where this has happened, when you're ready to expand your life and step up to more of your mission or your work, or for a variety of reasons, your higher self can embody more within your body. This is a walk-in experience too. It's like a walk-in, so much so that we could call it a walk-in experience, a type of a walk-in experience. I had a session in 2009, and the woman said, "You are a walk-in, but it's your own higher self," and it happened in 2006. Well, I didn't need her to tell me that, because what happened when it happened to me in 2006 was that I was looking through my eyes with, like, it was like a new person was looking through my eyes. Everything felt different, and all of the sudden I was seeing with new eyes. I was looking around knowing that, like, I was a newcomer here, like exactly what I explained, that a new portion of my own soul came into my body. These were the eyes that I was looking through now, and it was all a different perspective, a new perspective. That part of my soul was here for the first time in this body as Stephanie. It was profound. It took weeks or months to integrate, and everything, I don't want to say everything changed, but suddenly I had stacks and stacks of books about star seeds, Pleiadians, Arcturians, Andromeda. I had massive experience with an Andromedan collective, which is another story, which I'll get to probably in a couple minutes here. My perspectives changed. My consciousness expanded very, very rapidly over a period of months. New gifts were becoming enhanced. My healing ability was enhanced. I didn't know I was going to talk about this in this video, but I'm just explaining that this can happen in a lifetime. I do this in my healing sessions. When I do a healing session, I open up a portal, not consciously, but it's happening sometimes consciously, where I'm bringing in more of my client's higher self into their body. When this happens, I've witnessed this with some people where their eyes, it happened to me. I've had several walk-in experiences. I just described one in 2006, but after that, I have had several others. And in those cases, my eyes were widened, bigger, during the first few minutes or a couple hours of integrating the new energy. I hope I'm making sense, but there's a noticeable change, and you're perceiving color as more vibrant, almost as if things were dim before, and the brightness and the vibrancy becomes so much more intense. So because this new soul energy is integrating within you, and it does integrate, and then it calms down again, and everything goes back to normal once it's integrated. But this is you bringing more soul fragments or pieces or soul energy into the body, and this can happen a lot, many times in a life. So this is one way that we can have changing life experiences. It's by bringing in new portions of our soul that have gifts and a lot of different things to offer, new interests, capabilities, things like that. So let's get back to ideas of the soul that are, different from that. Your soul, just to reiterate a little bit, your soul is incarnating and experiencing in the now, in all time, all space. You can gather expertise, information, input from all of your soul in all of your incarnations now, if you call upon it. If you want to be a great singer, call upon that part of your soul that is a great singer. Same with art, learning a language, etc., etc. You can draw upon the skills, abilities, and capabilities of the other incarnations of your soul to further empower this life. What else? Let me think. I'm not reading, even though it might sound like it in this video. I'm really trying to just speak with a stream of consciousness as it's coming in, because there's so many things that I could talk about with souls, about souls. One of the things that I'm being reminded of is that during one of my Life Between Lives hypnotherapy sessions that I was doing with a client, he went back to the other side. I guided him into the spirit world, and he met with two other of his soulmates. They were balls of light. I said balls, but I don't know if they're balls or just other shapes, but they are, I'll call them balls of light just to make it easier. And they formed a circle and kind of held hands. If they had balls, had hands, right? And they were like dancing in a circle, and it was so joyous to reunite. And then from that circle, they all came into the center and merged the three soul energies into one. They merged completely into one big ball of soul energy, combining their energies into one. And then they pulled back out into the three separate souls that they were. And they pulled out, and they were their individual souls. And they would do this as a dance, merging in together in the center and then pulling out separately. And this was a dance, and this was a unification of oneness, becoming one together, and then separating back out. This is what we are. We are one. In the ultimate sense, we come from the one God, the one creator. All is one. And we can merge back into that oneness. We can merge back into that oneness when we die, when we leave the body. We never die, but you know what I mean. Die from a human life. Our soul is eternal and never dies. We can merge back into the oneness, back home, but we never lose our individuality. We never lose our uniqueness, who we are. Who I am as Stephanie will go back home. I can merge with the oneness of all that is, but I, within that oneness, can also know that I will always remain, and I can merge out of that oneness and be my individual soul self. That spirit essence of Stephanie will always remain in eternity, even though the rest of my soul is not Stephanie. The rest of my soul is a conglomeration of all that I am. I can merge back in with my soul and be one with all that I have ever been, all of my incarnations, all that I am, while retaining the knowing, the personality, the essence of me. Because this being, Stephanie, was created, it still exists and always will, if it wants to. It can re-merge with my soul, and it can combine with the soul energy again to formulate a new combination for a new incarnation. I hope I'm making sense. All of these varieties are true and possible. There are not probably that many limitations on souls. We can be creative. As you can see, we do that. Another thing, as we know, a lot of people listening to my channel know about twin flames. This is when the soul incarnates in more than one body during the same incarnation. So the incarnations of a soul that are simultaneous, which we call twin souls or twin flames. We can also call them soul extensions. These can be in 2 bodies, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Who knows? This number can go on. Most people don't believe that, and it's fine. You don't have to believe it. But in my case, my soul is in 7 bodies right now, and I've met the other 6. And it is a very unique life experience that can happen. What else? Let me just think. So I'm aware that your soul can incarnate into 2 bodies that are siblings. So twin flames can be siblings, one soul in 2 different bodies. This can happen among all variations, parent and child, lovers, romantic partners, etc., friends, the list goes on. Let's see. I'm just going to take a moment to see if there's any other information about souls to help broaden your understanding of what souls are and how they incarnate. I became aware that one of my family members who has passed away, I thought I had an inkling that this person, this soul, was already reincarnated and in someone in my family and a child. And I was told, yes, a portion of that being is incarnated in that. So it's interesting that the way that the information came through was not that it was a direct reincarnation, but a portion of that part of that soul. Does that make sense? So if it's a sugar bowl and the life is lived and that spoonful of that sugar goes right back into that bowl, all that sugar is mixed up again, right? So we can take a portion of what had just left the body and another portion of that sugar to make a new combination of soul energy to be reincarnated. Okay, so it's not linear, it's very fluid. We have a very dynamic soul life. When we have a walk-in, it does not have to come from the same oversoul that I'm aware of. The oversoul is that bowl of sugar, the combination of all the incarnations. That's the oversoul, housing all that you are. The soul itself is more that ball of light that is portion of it's coming into the body. I don't want to confuse you more. But with a walk-in, that's a soul exchange. I guess, I don't know for sure, but I guess that it can be an unrelated soul that is not coming from the same oversoul. I believe it can be from any other soul group or other oversoul that is may or may not be related to your soul. There are different soul groupings. When you are in a soul group, you can be in overlapping soul groups. Soul groups are for mission. This means that if you're in a soul group, I personally know that I'm in 2 different soul groups. One of my soul groups is called the soul group of truth. I am also in another soul group of loyalty. This means that I'm in 2 soul groups. My soul energy is in both because our souls are fluid. And in my incarnation as Stephanie, these are themes that are of the utmost importance in my life because I'm learning and teaching. We're always learning and teaching. And we're not just learning or just teaching. We're always learning and teaching simultaneously throughout our lives. And my themes of loyalty and truth, they're separate soul groups, but I'm in both. Does that make sense? So in one group, my soul group of truth, there are many, many members. But those other members are not all in my soul group of loyalty, but other of my soulmates are. Some might be. Some might be in both. They can be overlapping. There can be adjacent soul groups. These are soul groups that have common or supporting themes that you're working together on mission. So the other thing is that, well, I don't need to get into that. So soul groups tend to have people that you have incarnated with before, that you know as a soul. They are not always, it's not like everybody in your family is in your soul group. You understand? They can be more distantly related to you. There's something called spiritual family. If you look at it like a circle, where inside the circle you have your soul group members. If you draw a bigger circle around that, it's on the periphery. This is spiritual family. They are not in your soul group. They are on the outside periphery of your soul group. These are spiritual family. This is those with whom you have struggle, conflict, and challenge. These can be incarnated in your immediate family, best friends, spouses, children. They are the people with the most conflict and difficulty are spiritual family. The people within the soul group, although there can be conflict, they are for mission, purpose, your purpose. People often ask me about purpose and mission. I'm going to make another video. I just realized that that is an important topic. I will make a video about that next. What else? Let me just tune in and see if there's anything else about souls that I would like to cover or that wants to be shared. Interesting. So what I'm being guided to tell you, lifetimes are not linear. If I go back up, when I go home from my life as Stephanie, this is the year 2020 right now. When I go home and I say, I'm ready to do another incarnation, I could go back to the year 1531, for example. I can go back to any time, future or past. Lifetimes are not linear. Time is circular. That doesn't make any sense, but to me, I can't explain it to you, but I channeled that just now. It just came out and they showed me, and I've seen it before, and I've seen this before, what I'm seeing, and I've heard this before, that time is circular. It's also a spiral, and you can jump around on different nodes of time. Okay? Time is not linear. Your incarnations do not happen one after the other in consecutive order. First, you're born in 1600, you have your life, then you come back, whatever, 1700s, 1800s, and so on. No, there's a yes and a no here. Yes, you can have incarnations consecutively through time to experience life that way, but also no, because every time you reincarnate, you can choose any time period, any, past through future, all time. So that is also very interesting. That is just all coming to me now. But it's absolutely true because of the nature of time. So, for example, you are influencing all of your lives now. Did you realize that? If you heal something now, you're healing it. If that's an issue in another lifetime, you're healing it in that other life as well. You understand? You're changing situations, scenarios now in those lives because you're affecting all of time. So I'm going to close with that. I hope that this was clear. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments. I will try to answer them or make new videos to explain things further. And I will say goodbye for now. My website is stephaniecraft.com. I do energy healing sessions. On the phone, I do twin flame healing sessions. I connect with your higher self. I bring in the messages. My energy healing is very, very powerful. And you just have to experience it for yourself if you want to find out. I also do hypnotherapy, but I do that in person at my office in the Washington, D.C. area in Northern Virginia. But if you would like to book a session with me, you can do that directly on my website. Okay, blessings to everybody. Have a beautiful day or night wherever you are, and I will talk to you again very soon. Bye-bye.